All right, ladies and gentlemen, look who we have here on the show, Mark. It is a pleasure to have you on. How are you, mate?
It's my pleasure. Yeah, I'm very well. Yourself?
Very well, man. How's things?
Things are all right. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we managed to make this work. It's just been a little bit crazy the last few weeks, because of, obviously Wukong coming out, and
Are
having
you
to
in that?
deal with. Oh, I don't know. Like, am I don't know. I do so much, sometimes you forget, like sometimes you forget what it is you worked on, But and then I started rehearsals on a play 2 weeks ago, which has been, pretty intense. And then, when you're in rehearsals, as an actor also, like, often I rarely, unless you're in rehearsals, it's very rare you have sort of like this Monday to Friday full-time situation. And if you're doing a Monday to Friday full-time job, but you're also trying to do things in the evening, emails and all this stuff. How do people do it that actually like work full time, like all year round, and you get like what, a few weeks off? I'm like, it's stressful. When do you do laundry? When do you do your chores? I don't know. Like, it's confusing to me. Like, but it's
Yeah, but
I
you're going all right.
respect it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm doing all right. I'm
Keep
doing
it
all right.
positive. So, how many
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
how many freaking languages are you fluent in? That's my
Well,
first question.
German is my first language. I grew up speaking German. And then English, I guess, would be my second language because I mean, obviously, I had it in school, and then when I was 16, I went to the US for a year and became more fluent.
Mm.
And then, actually, probably my third language would have been, even though my dad's Japanese, and I learned a bit of Japanese here and there, but I didn't grow up speaking it. So I moved to Amsterdam when I was 19, and I studied economics there. And then I learned to speak Dutch, and Dutch is quite similar to German, so it's not that hard for a German to learn. It really isn't. It really isn't. Like
Okay,
when
okay.
I first when I first went to the Netherlands, I could basically read a newspaper, like almost.
Yeah,
But
right.
because it's pronounced so differently, I hope I don't mean to insult any Dutch people because it's its own language. It isn't easy to learn, but it is very similar to German. They're obviously very related,
What's the key differences?
It's the pronunciation,
That's
like
it.
for example, well, I mean, obviously it has its own grammar that is different and stuff, but from the difference between reading and hearing is when you're reading it on paper, like a lot of the words look like in German, but when you're hearing them, for example, good in English is gut in German, and goed in Dutch. So the
Ah, yeah,
G
yeah.
becomes a G, and like it's just like oftentimes the vowels are somewhat different and stuff. But once you know those differences, you can almost just, even if you don't know the word, you can just think like, oh, it's that in German, it's probably this in Dutch, and the other way around. So once you get used to that, it's not that hard. And then I did a year in Japan and kind of what little Japanese I knew, progressed with that and solidified that. And because I really wanted to learn more Japanese. And then eventually, when I got good enough, I also started speaking Japanese with my dad. So that's pretty solid now. I think it's not quite native level, I think, but it's pretty good. I had a little bit of French and Latin in school, but I wouldn't go so far as to say that I can speak those. Like it's very.
How's your Australian?
I was trying. I'm not gonna go there. It's gonna be too embarrassing. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
don't blame
I
you.
can I can do just about maybe Aussie man, like, yeah, nah, yeah, nah, yeah, nah, yeah.
So
That-
tell me why. So you only did the English voice for Wukong, right?
yeah,
But you
correct.
could have
Yes.
done the German. No,
I
could
I well, I've never really I think maybe I should try and kind of push this a bit more. Like the thing is, I could have done the German, yes, and I for all the games I'm doing really, but I
yeah.
because usually I think they're usually casting it in Germany with different people, and I don't have that much connection to that, unfortunately. I'm gonna try and do that a bit more, but
I think it's logistics. I think yeah, you're right. It's
it's
just logistics.
logistics. There was a game I did a few years ago called Shadow Gambit, which is like a fun. I think it's like this. It's a bit like Commandos, which is a game that I played way back when. So like you have a gang of people that you control, and that you just it's like a bit of a strategy RPG type of thing, I think.
Yep.
Um, and I voiced the English original for a character there, but it was a German studio, and then when I said like, "Hey, I'm German, I'm happy to do the German," and initially they were kind of pretty positive about it, but whether it was, I don't know who made the decision, but somehow it didn't happen. It also had to do with, where are we going to record it, here, or am I going to be flown over? It might have been a budgeting
Yeah.
thing. I don't know, but I think it's just sometimes a little bit tricky. But yeah, I'd happily do all the voices I do in English, also in German. If I get double the money, I have no problem, no problem with that. We can do it in the same session, it's fine.
So have you played the game yet? May, have you had a chance to sit down and because I know you're doing a stream soon, are you?
I'm streaming it tonight, which I don't
Oh,
know when you're
tonight.
gonna put this up.
Okay, I'll
But
get it
yeah,
out
I'm gonna
today
go.
for you.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna. Oh, are you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to my friend Mia Fu. And because I'm not set up for streaming or anything like that. I've never done that. I have no idea how it works.
But you're looking pretty good here. Good mic, good headset,
Uh,
good
well,
lighting.
I got I just took that from my boot lighting. It's just the sun here. I mean,
Mate, that's it. Natural lighting. That's
I
it.
guess, I guess. But yeah, honestly, like I just haven't had very much time at all
Mm.
to just breathe. And I thought also it'd be fun to like stream it and see how it goes. But I also I actually haven't played that kind of game very much. I played Assassin's Creed before, but I grew up much more with like PC games, sort of mouse and keyboard kind of style. I never really had a console, so I'm very curious to see how I've never played Dark Souls, in which obviously some people saying it is the Souls
Similar.
like, some
Yep.
people not. And I don't know that. I guess I'll find out. But so I'm kind of excited to just try it out and see how it goes. But I've obviously seen like the sequence, especially the opening sequence, which is
Oh,
like
how good's that opening, man? That is
epic. I
just
mean,
epic. What a way to start a game, honestly. That's how you start a game. Can't think of a better way.
when I was recording it also, I was just like, man, this is like the coolest thing I've ever done. I don't know. I don't know. Have I peaked? I don't like I hope not, but it's just so epic. Yeah, it's just really cool. It was really fun to do. I gotta say.
So when you're doing that, you're seeing kind of the finished product like we are as a player when you're voicing.
For 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 that one, it's not always the case. I think the thing is because it was a dub, so they already had the Chinese original, then you have that ready. There's, I think that was the only video I saw for Wukong. The other voices I recorded were just, I just had the lines, and the Chinese original actually, they're playing that when you're doing a dub, and but yeah, for the other ones I didn't see the sequences. I mean, I saw another video, or the one, I don't want to spoil anything to anyone, but like like another anime kind of video, I think, which when I watched that also, I didn't see that, and when I watched it I was like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Oh yeah, man, they
I don't know if
are.
have you seen it?
They're
Have you seen
beautiful.
all the other? So
Beautiful.
beautiful. I mean, their
Yeah.
artwork and anime style. So like, hey, if they want to make an anime, I mean, I'm down. Like,
Uh,
but
hey,
you
that'd be
got
a
to
good
work out the
idea.
scheduling.
That'd be a really good idea, anime.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. Like, it's not unheard of, isn't it? Like, I mean, video
No.
games kind of doing animes as well, and sort of the back and forth. But look, I also
Mm.
know, the business is complicated. Like, there's no guarantee, just because you've done a role once that it's yours forever. I don't, like it's not how it works. So I'm happy to, be part of this project now, and like whatever the future brings, who knows.
Well, good luck to someone trying to impersonate you because you've got, honestly, that would be a tough impersonation because you've been all around the world living in different countries. I think you've picked up a bit of each one along the way. Would you agree or what?
I mean, maybe it's quite. It is a unique voice, I think, in my natural tone. Um,
Beautiful
but
voice, I should say.
thank you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think it's this typical, I often get people when they hear me speak for the first time, and like sometimes they get this glazed over, not glazed over, but this questioning look, and I just know that they're like thinking like, where's your accent from? I just can't tell, like I'm just really curious, and also people are usually really cautious because they don't want to offend you, obviously, they don't want to insult you, and like it's fine. I'm not offended. And then sometimes people trying to guess, are you like, and I've had everything. Sometimes people can tell German, especially when they have been to Germany or something, and they can tell some of the inflections. But also sometimes people say South Africa, because there's a
Okay.
Germanic influence, South Africa, but like, and I've heard Australia as well, which I
Have
don't think
you
I sound
really?
Australian at all. No, I
No,
don't think I
no.
sound, but I think it's like this confusion between like there's something British, but also not British, because obviously I've been here for 12 years now and I speak with much more of a British sound than I used to. And then oftentimes also people American because they're like I have some Americanisms, I think, but I don't speak with an American accent per se. Like all over the world, all over the world. It's just
So
people
what do
get
you think?
confused.
What do you think's the strongest? German? Do you think that seeps through the most?
Do you mean in my accent
Yeah.
or
I'm curious what you
uh
think.
I I've in my natural way of speaking, a mix of it really is like I do think German definitely comes through, and I know that I do some words more American than others, and like, but I actually like to play with it in my because the thing is when you're not a native speaker, I think your accent is often less tied to your identity in than it is with a native speaker. Like in German, for example, actually I have a much harder time speaking Hochdeutsch, which is like the equivalent of like RP, like I don't know, proper
Yeah.
German or something. Because I'm from Cologne, I'm Kölsch, like, and we speak in a certain way. And in German, I think it's harder for me. It's not harder, but it's like my everyday speaking will always be, I think, in that accent. But in English, because I learned to be fluent in English in America and in high school, and obviously I spoke with an American accent at the time. And then when I first moved to London, I probably spoke with like more of a German, Dutch slash American mix.
Mm.
And then going to drama school here, I remember my my voice teacher actually was he said to me, he's like, Mark, I need you to get rid of your German sounds. And, and he was really
Uh,
lovely, and it was well-meaning, and I think it was useful because also I think the way I look, if I sound very German, I think it's hard for me to get work. Because like especially on screen or something, because if I speak like this all the time, nobody's gonna cast me as a World War II Nazi or something, it's not gonna happen for this face, it's not realistic. Um, for voiceovers, yes, and I have done a few. But I mean, I only
yeah.
got into voiceover so much later. So when it comes to just the face, you need to be able to do it all.
So how do you come up with this voice for Sun Wukong? How did you approach it? Tell me.
Um, well, so I initially actually voiced two other characters in the game, right? Which is Green-Capped. Oh, what's he called? Green-Capped. Actually, when I
Green-Capped
read him,
Martialist.
that's the one. I was gonna say, I was gonna say Martian, and I was like, he's not. He's like, I was like, that can't be right. Green-Capped
And
Martialist
non-white.
and
Yeah.
non-white. That's right.
Yeah.
And basically Beth, who you've spoken to and directed, I think all of the sequences, and she basically was like, oh, maybe we should also check if he can do Sun Wukong. Um, so it's kind of like just thrown at me, and like I didn't really have any prep or anything like that,
Shit.
so I they showed me the sequence and the Chinese original, but they were also like it wasn't about copying the Chinese voiceover. They very much were like, we just want a um
The energy.
monkey, yeah, a monkey king like energy that's like, and he's like this, what are all the adjectives? He's, even though he's a hero, he's a complicated hero, right? And he's cocky and like a bit abrasive and like, and not like, he's not like a Superman type of character, right? Like he's a bit different. And yeah, I think sometimes when you have a visual, I think also it's really, I really like that. And I whenever I get an image or something in an audition, I love that because you can just kind of feel how they hold themselves and how they look, and you just kind of, ha, fuck all of you, like kind of, like, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to
No,
curse,
please.
but
We encourage it.
you just kind of, and then you see him like going to all these gods and like, come at me, all of you. I don't know. It's just kind of, it just kind of comes out of you. I'm connected so easily to monkeys is because I actually grew up behind London, not London, Cologne Zoo, and would often fall asleep to the sound of monkeys fighting.
You're kidding.
So yeah,
You're
like
kidding.
we could actually see the giraffes from our kitchen. Like you saw the
Oh my
heads
God.
bobbing. Like I was literally right behind Cologne Zoo.
So you've been prepping for this role for years without even knowing
All
it.
my life as a child. Like I grew up with it. Maybe I escaped from the zoo and I'm not, I don't know. Maybe it's that kind of situation. I don't know. But yeah, monkey noises, this is part of me, part of my makeup.
What were the voices for Green-Capped Martialist and Non-White?
Oh God, now you're asking me questions.
Do you remember them?
Uh,
It's okay if you
trying to-
don't. It's okay if you don't.
Green-Capped Martialist. Shit. What do we? Well, Green-Capped Martialist because he or martial artist or martialist. What was key about him was I don't know if this is spoilers. But like he comes across as like first a nice guy, right? Like and we're kind of like, oh, he needs help, he's cold and stuff. So I mean, he was closer to my natural voice, actually. I think if I
Yeah.
remember correctly, he was much closer to my natural voice because he was also human. He wasn't, a monkey. And it's like, oh, please help me or something. I know, I'm so cold. And it was just that kind of thing. And then later I was like, I tricked you, you idiot. I think so. It was closer to my natural voice, and it wasn't about modulating it massively. It was more the character and the intention and the what he was doing that was important.
It was actually a cool side quest, by the way.
Was it? Oh,
yeah, you
I
should
look forward to playing
You
it.
should definitely try and find yourself.
Yeah, no, I will.
It's not like it's not easy to find, if you know what I mean. It's you've got to go looking and got to follow.
Okay.
You got to do a few things, but you can watch my guide if you need to. Mark,
Oh
that's
yeah,
all good.
yeah. But it's not a mandatory sort of quest, I'm guessing.
No.
Then, or
No,
right? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, fair enough.
but non-white, I believe he is. I could be wrong. I mean,
Right.
yeah,
I mean, non-white,
Yeah.
like that's because they described him also. He's an opera. He's a Chinese opera singer. That in the lore, I guess.
Okay.
I think if I remember correctly, and but I was like, oh, I hope they're not going to make me sing opera now. Especially not Chinese opera, because I have no idea how to do that. But it was more like about that was his background, and so you had a very over the like almost over the top kind of, and he was quite mad. And
So much like you in real life, very mad.
much like I had to tone it down a little, actually, just a smidge, just to make sure the levels are not too big. But I think it was actually that one, maybe because I'm a little bit mad in that one, where Beth was like, maybe if he tones it down a smidge, he can just about meet the level of a Monkey King. So it's like me and then non-white, and then okay, Monkey King.
Have you seen
Something
the
like that.
the Headless Monk? And it's kind of gone viral, the singing and the music from him.
You mean the actual monk, like as in the one who did it, or you mean the as in from the
in the
game?
game or the actual guy. Yeah, I'm just
Because
wondering.
I think I've seen a video somewhere of like, oh, this is the original person who played or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but I only very briefly. But is there something specific that like is
No,
particularly
I'm
viral?
just him in general. I mean, it's so cool, the music.
I
I
think
think people are
well
really enjoying it.
the music
Yeah.
or what?
Yeah,
Ah,
just the style of music. I don't know what you call it, but it's fascinating. The instrument
yeah.
and you know what I mean?
All
It's,
right.
it's beautiful.
I haven't specifically seen that, but I think the Headless Monk also speaks, right? Because I think my friend James
Yes.
Bradwell actually voiced the Headless Monk when he's not singing, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he yeah, James and I actually did a play together last year.
Where he had his
And
head
so
in that one.
for the most part, I mean, like he's got a pretty big head in a metaphorical sense. No, I'm joking.
You
No,
do,
James is great. He's a really great guy. Yeah.
how much theatre do you do? Because it takes up a lot of time, doesn't it?
It does, and it's well, I mean, the last few years have been pretty busy with theater. I was actually in the original production of My Neighbor Totoro, which was
Wow.
produced by yeah, the Royal Shakespeare Company with Studio Nippon Terebi,
Who did
and
you play?
I was part of the ensemble, and
Yep.
I understudied Hiroshi, who is Kanta's father. So I was too old to be one of the children. Um, it was when I think even though the children are being played by older people, I think it was kind of like I was sort
Just
of in my
over.
mid-30s, and it's kind of like playing a 10-year-old, not it's getting a bit tricky. And I'm obviously also huge, you can't quite tell, but I'm massive. Um, I'm really not, but um, but
Uh,
yeah, but I mean, I did a lot of puppetry on it as well, and think, I mean, everybody
puppetry.
on it. Yeah, because I mean, the Totoro and like, do you know do you
Yeah,
know the
yeah, yeah,
film?
yeah.
So
Beautiful
there's
film.
obviously the
Yeah.
cat bus and Totoro, and you got the little Totoro, and also the soot sprites and everything, and it's frankly, I mean, My Neighbor Totoro, it's transferring to the West End next year, and I'm not sure if I will be part of it. It's still up in the
Up in
air.
the air.
But the play itself, I mean, it won 6 Oliviers. I think it's a masterpiece of theater, and I don't say that because I was part of it. I say that because I only, I was a small cog in the big machine, I think. But the director Phelim and the puppetry directors also Basil and Merv and everyone in the creative team, Eileen, associate director, lots of people that were involved. Um, I think it's kind of this thing where you feel like you're working with actual geniuses, you know? They've really created an adaptation, or we've created an adaptation of a piece that is already so famous and beloved, and not just said, all right, we're just gonna take this really famous thing and put it on stage. We're gonna adapt it for this other medium in a way that both honors the original and makes it its own sort of, piece of work
Mm.
on stage in its own right. And so I think the awards were and accolades are all very well deserved, and it was amazing to be part of. And then so that I did 6 months a couple of years ago, another 6 months this last, and then I did another play last. So I mean, yeah, theater has been a big part of my career in the last 3 years, and I think it's yeah, I love it. I love it.
Would
Yeah.
the puppetry be similar to, because I've seen King Kong, how they
Hmm.
kind of control King Kong? I don't know if you've seen it. Would it be similar to that, you reckon?
There's a lot of puppetry that's done in films as well. So a few friends of mine and also some people that were in My Neighbor Totoro do puppetry on films.
Mm.
But I don't know specifically how King Kong was made, but a lot of sometimes you do motion capture, right? And I've done a lot of that myself as well. But depending on what kind of creature it is that you're
Yes.
trying to do, sometimes if they're not very humanoid, then puppetry is the better way to go, you know, like you kind of and I think there's different technology. Sometimes I think animators or designers use just references, right? And other times it's motion capture and you're using the actual material to create the actual data that's collected to create the animation. So it really depends, I think, what it is. But yeah, there's overlap. A lot of people that do puppetry for theater also do puppetry for films. But sometimes people specialize, of course, you know. But yeah, I've not done puppetry for films myself yet, but yeah, only for theater.
If I've got my facts straight, your first mocap gig was being a zombie. Yes or no?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. That was my first motion capture. Yeah, yeah, in Dead Island 2. I actually worked on that for like 3 or 4 years
So I
almost.
beat the shit out of you
You,
multiple times.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I was, I think it was, I think in total it
Uh,
was only 4 guys who were
all the zombies.
credited as all the zombies.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
And so it
crazy.
was for a few years, it was like I remember starting on it and oftentimes it was just me. There were a lot of sequences where I remember there was one particular one. I don't know if it made it in the final game actually, but there was a sequence where it was on the plane. I think it's the initial sort of, oh, zombies are coming, infecting thing. I don't know if it made it into the final thing, but um where they were like just on a plane, and then I was one of the people, and then suddenly he turns into a zombie and he like bites someone else, and and then that person turns into a zombie. So I
Yeah,
like became that
that's in the
other
game.
person, and then
That's in the
yeah,
game.
and then I was
Yeah.
so I'm like all the zombies in that. Like we kind of did it. So I somehow like they then kill me, kill that zombie, and then I had to run around and like lay on the floor and be the next one who comes alive, and then they kill that one, and then I have to go somewhere else and be the next zombie, like whatever. It was honestly it was one of the hardest jobs I've ever done.
Really?
Hardest in
Taxing on
terms
the
of
body?
taxing on the body, so taxing on the body. There was during COVID, I actually did one. It was also just on my own. I still remember it, and it was a big lesson in pacing myself, knowing my own limits and stuff, because we did a whole day of just me, being all kinds of crazy zombies, and we got to like what is it, like 3 o'clock, 3:30, starting at whenever it was 9 or 10, I think. So I mean, obviously there was lunch, but I've done like 6 hours of being a zombie, and then I remember the director who we worked very well together, but he at some he just set action on a take, and I remember just being like.
This zombie's drunk.
And no, I just lied down on the floor, and like I didn't quite pass out, but I was just like I can't do another swing. I was doing like these attacks,
Oh
and I was
shit.
just like
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I lied down on the floor, and like I mean I didn't quite pass out, but then Jose, the director, was just like yeah, I think we need to call it a day. And to his credit, he also, I think he asked me many times before, like, do you want another break? Do you want another break? And I was just saying, no, it's fine, let's just keep going. And it was a big lesson in just like,
You've got to know
if
your
you
own
need
limits. Yeah.
you got to know your own limits, you got to pace yourself. Same with voice, sometimes as actors we have this tendency to just be like, yeah, no, fine, fine, I can do it. Yeah, it's fine, let's go. Instead of just being like, you know what, you don't need to put so much pressure on yourself. Just chill, take a moment, and it's better. And we don't want to destroy our own voices for a job, you might have another thing lined up tomorrow or an audition or whatever. And if you push yourself to the limits, then you can't do that, and so I think, yeah, so that was a really important lesson, I think.
Are there any other big lessons you've learned over the years of doing this in games?
Oh, big lesson in games. Don't be shy. Don't don't hold anything back. Kind of like this is a bit contradictory to the thing before, but I mean it more in terms of when you have an instinct, and just really go for it. I think like
Mm.
I've oftentimes when like people that are starting out or something sending me things and asking for my opinion, or like I offer my advice for things. Um and they send me a sample, and it's like, look, you're believable and it's fine, but also like go bigger, like especially when it's games. Like it depends on what you're doing. Radio play might be different and stuff, but for games, man, like a lot of these characters we play, they're larger than life, right? They're like the Monkey King. He's like a god, man. Like you can't just be like, hey guys, yeah, I really prefer it if you were not so mean to me, you know? Like nah,
Imagine that in the
man.
opening.
It's like
That would be a different game.
all of my life, you were so mean to me. And so, ow. Like, I don't know. Sometimes that's fine, but like
In the right
you know,
context, yeah.
in the right context, But I think, but even that, I don't know. There's sometimes this fear of being over the top. So you go the other direction, and it's actually a bit too toned down. But I think the thing I learned also most from is just recording tons of samples, like just recording for everything, taping for everything. Like so whenever there's an audition, it's like, yep, yeah, I'll try it out. Um and because and then objectively and realistically listening to it back and being like, does this fit the brief? Is this if I and if there's an image, especially like looking at the image, it's like, do I believe this voice coming out of this person? Like
Remove
and
yourself
just
from it. Yeah.
yeah, remove yourself from it. And like not with and that's really hard, but not with the insecure, like I'm not good enough or anything. Like, no, more like what are the aspects I can change to make it fit? And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're like, oh, I can't do this. Like
Yeah.
I still have too much to learn, or
The
I'm
glove
not
doesn't
right
fit.
for this.
Yeah.
A glove doesn't fit. And that's also okay. That doesn't mean you can't send a sample. You do your best and you send a sample, especially when it comes to your agent or something. But sometimes like definitely don't beat yourself up. You keep learning and you keep growing, and that's just how it goes, like and sort of finding your niche, I guess. But that's what I would say whenever I hear people. It's like, just don't be shy. Just go for it. Go crazy. Go nuts.
Is there, I don't like asking this question, but I do have to ask you this one, all right?
Hey,
What's
go
your
for it.
what was your favorite voice line for Wukong?
Oh man, it's hard because like actually like when I look at the sequences of actual like Sun Wukong, man, they're all so epic. Like they're all like it's but like actually like yeah, so when I watched this, this anime with the Bull King, the later one, I don't know, it's such a heartbreaking anime, but it's also like the voice itself, I enjoyed doing it, but it's also this kind of seeing it all come together and the collaboration of all these artists, like the animation itself together with the music and the voice and everything, which gives you goosebumps then, and you feel like, oh man, I'm part of that. But then also it's simple, but just sort of the come at me, all of you, that kind of thing. Like
Oh man,
it's
that's
just
my yeah.
so
Come on.
cocky, and it's just like, come at me, all of you. It's like I don't know. It's the kind of shit when you're a kid and you just kind of like, you know, you want to say to everyone, I guess. But obviously you would never have the balls, like I don't know. But it's just like, yeah, man, I'm gonna beat the shit out of all of you. And like obviously I would never do that because I'm not a violent person. But like just for fun for video games, like
Yes.
it's just great. And it's also like in
Oh
the
man.
sequence itself, it's like you see this little dude, and you see these huge fucking things and all that army, and he just doesn't give a crap. He's like, yeah, man, you all come at me, like nothing changes. I'll still beat you, you know?
So what's your reaction to 18 million sales and a DLC coming? What's your reaction to that?
I mean, like, obviously, I know also the majority of this is in the Chinese market,
Yeah.
a big portion of that, and understandably so. It's like it's a Chinese mythology that is so famous in that country. But even still, obviously, like to be part of something that is clearly, you know, kind of caught on. I think both in the world of gaming and what type of game it is, I think, and that, like this whole thing of, oh no, microtransactions, and like it's just a really gameplay and story driven game where, like, uh um I think it really caught on. And you know it's just nice to be part of something that people really enjoy,
But dude, a lot of the
and to
games
kind
you've
of.
worked on are like that. I don't know if it's by happen chance, but all the games you work on are just like solid single player, passionate devs. you know?
I guess it's true. I mean, like if I think of like a Great Ace Attorney, that was my first voiceover, really, my first
Capcom.
video game voiceover, Capcom, and that obviously it's a much smaller game in terms of sales and things like that, but it has a huge fan base that like loves that series, and obviously it also got like, what is it, 7 or 8 title. I mean, it's got a new release just now, doesn't it? The I think, was it today or yesterday that came out?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, what is it called? Not Chronicles, because mine was Collections or something, Ace Attorney Collections,
Ah, okay.
something like,
On
I think it's a
PS5
re
and Xbox.
uh, I don't actually know
Oh, okay.
exactly. But I think it came out just a couple of days ago.
So you're not in that
Um,
one. So how does that work? Are they different characters?
yeah. So I
Yeah.
played the Great Ace Attorney, which is, so the famous one that obviously everybody knows is Phoenix Wright,
Yeah.
and he's the original Ace Attorney. And then I voiced Ryunosuke Naruhodo, which is um Ace Attorney's, I think, as in Phoenix Wright's like great grandfather or something like that, or
That's
meant to
pretty
be.
cool.
I think
Pretty
I
cool.
think I think something like that. But basically, the game is set more in the when would it have been set? In the 19th century, I think. So it's like a period drama, I suppose.
So
And
you
it's
started it
set.
all. You were the kickoff. You were the kickoff
So to
for the
speak.
character.
I suppose so, it all comes from me. But yeah, like I think I myself also grew up, with games in, the 90s and early noughties, I guess, and like when I first heard about microtransaction, I was like, well, that's stupid. Like, like why would you pay for like clothes in a game? I don't get it. I don't like I don't get it. Like obviously I'm wrong, and I was wrong. Like it's obviously huge, but like like the games I played growing up were nothing like that, right?
No,
And
no.
and so I think, I don't know if it's nostalgia, or maybe it's a swing back that obviously still many people play Fortnite and those kind of games, and
No, but
but I
there is
think
a swing.
there's
You're right. I think there's a.
there's a swing. I think there's a hunger for these kind of games that are just sort of immersive, and you just don't worry about all your achievements and all these things and whatnot, and you just want to be immersed into this other world, and you can just explore that and be that, like be that person or something, and so it's also like interesting then, the main character not having a voice. I think that was also the case. Like I think about Half-Life, like the first Half-Life. Right? I don't think the Gordon Freeman didn't have a voice, if I remember correctly, right?
Mm.
It's just all the other people talking to you. And and that's kind of like this thing that's really fun. You're just becoming that person. So obviously, personally, I would have loved to voice like lots of stuff throughout it, and who knows what the DLC will be. I don't know. But
What's your pitch for the DLC? If you could do it, if you could pitch it. Obviously, you
um
don't know anything. This is just
I
hypothetical.
this is completely hypothetical. I know nothing. I've not been told anything. And this is,
We don't want any
hey, I
headlines.
mean,
This is completely
no headlines. I
yes.
know nothing. Hey, I mean, we could do the original Journey to the West, maybe. I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
Like a
yeah.
little prequel.
That'd be pretty cool.
Or I like, because I haven't played the game through yet, I don't know what
Yeah.
fun sort of like side adventures there would be. I don't know if it would be a thing of still playing Wukong or playing as one of the other characters in it or something. For my own personal sake, I feel like, yeah, play as
Yeah,
Wukong,
and he's got
like,
voice line
or
in
I
every
don't know, he's
scene.
got a voice in every scene, booked for the next 2 years solid. I don't know, but like, I don't really know. I mean, they'll come up with something cool, I'm sure. So, but I suppose, I mean, without giving any spoil, I mean, I've seen obviously some of the video sequences, but the game is somewhat conclusive, I guess. But I mean, there's plenty of room, I guess, to pick it up from where it ends, I think.
Mm.
So who knows? Who knows? I'm very curious to see what it'll be, just like everybody else, you know?
So what would you say your favorite game is?
Oh,
Or top 3 or 4 if you can't pick one.
so okay, yeah. So the one of the games I played probably the most would be Baldur's Gate 1.
I
Um,
thought you were gonna say 3, but no, 1. Yeah.
I've not actually played 3 yet. I've actually
You're in it, aren't you?
I am in it, yes. Well, tell you what, you know, Mia is doing, my friend Mia, right? She's doing the playing through Baldur's Gate 1, 2, and 3 on stream. And I didn't stream it, but I a few months ago was like, oh, let me just play 1, 2, and 3. And you know, like just to kind of like have the continued story. So I played through 1 relatively recently.
How was
And
that?
and again, it's great. It's a great
Hold
game.
up.
Love it.
Yep.
Yeah, holds up brilliant. I mean, to me, it's also like I thought about this actually the other day. Like I'm because I play game in the 90s and I even play games even before that on like a Commodore and Atari and
Mm.
like with some friends. Like, look, they're just like little pixels moving on the screen. So to me, when Baldur's Gate 1 came out, yeah, that was gorgeous. Oh my God. Like the background graphics, like these beautiful painted, you know, like kind of things where you're walking around on. Like I was like, oh my God, it's gorgeous. You know,
Mm.
like that was amazing to me. And you know, I remember actually another one of my favorites is Outcast. Do you know the game Outcast? Um,
Outcast.
yeah,
No.
Outcast.
What is it? Tell me.
Outcast is a story about what was his name? Cutter Slade.
Not the
Who
band,
was
obviously. Outcast.
no, not the band. Outcast. It's basically it was actually voiced in German at least by the voice of Bruce Willis, the guy. So and the German voice of Bruce Willis is amazing. And
I've never heard of it. I might
have you
be.
not heard of Outcast?
No.
They did an
Dead set.
Outcast 2.0 or something. But I remember what they did back then was this thing. I don't know. I think it was voxels instead of pixels or something. They had it, and the story is it's a bit like Stargate. So this guy, they like humanity finds like this gate, and so they sending these people through this gate, and they end up on this other world. I think it was called Adelpha or something like that. And in this other world, they use this new graphic technology, which doesn't, I think it didn't use your graphics card, but it just used, for some reason, the processor or something. And because of the technology they used, it created this really otherworldly graphics. And I
Mm.
remember seeing it. And again, it was just sort of like, whoa, you really felt like you were in another world, you know? And that one also had loads of voice characters and lines and everything.
On PC?
On PC, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, on PC. I only played PC games. Because I only had a PC because me and my brother, we could argue to my parents that this is for the future. We need to learn how to use computers because, you know, that's what we need to do for work, you know. And, you know, I did that, but also played tons of games on it. But my parents never allowed us to have a console. So that was partially why I was a huge PC gamer, you know.
Yep.
And but yeah, I played
So
so
you got
Baldur's
Baldur's
Gate
Gate
1,
1, Outcast, 2 more.
well, Outcast. I played a lot of Diablo.
Yep.
Like 1 and 2 mostly. I mean 1 a lot, but then 2 probably even more. So in terms of like how much I play, but then it's hard to
Did you
pick.
play 3?
Half-Life,
Diablo
I did
3?
play. I did play 3, but by far not as much as 1 and 2. Like 2, I probably played the most. I mean, that was my teenage years. You know, I played a lot of
Yep.
Diablo 2. That was also one game where I did a lot of like sort of forums and stuff like that.
Oh, you were on the
And
forums. Yeah.
well,
Right.
on the forums, you had to be because that's how you traded back then on Diablo 2. You had to be on forums. It was kind of I don't know how it works in the latest stuff. And you find items and some that you don't need or something, and so you just go on a forum and you're like, hey, I've got this item, who can give me gems for it and stuff, and then you need to arrange to meet, but they're in the US and you're here, so you got to get, I don't know, like, and you just got to find a time to meet in game and trade with each other or something. And
Yeah.
so that was
Old
Diablo
school.
2. Old school, you know, there's like no mailing system or something. I don't know.
So what's your what's your
Half-Life
favorite
was.
recent game, would you say?
I haven't played recent games that much, to be honest. And
Mm.
the reason being, sort of in my 20s, I stopped playing that much. And it was kind of to do with you know, being having to work, having to study, having to do all these things. And I think I had also, to be honest, a slightly unhealthy relationship to gaming, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. I think I played just too much, you know, like it's hard to stop sometimes, and you play until 4 a.m., you're tired, and you know, like, and you just don't get stuff done. And there was a lot of guilt around that sometimes, so it just wasn't a healthy relationship to it, I think, you know. So
Mm.
at some point I was like, I can't do that. It's not good. So I kind of stopped it. And then I also, my, because I was a PC gamer, I never had I did have a PS2 for a bit, but not that much. But then I bought a MacBook, and I was like, all right, that's good, because I can't really game on a MacBook, and then I'm not tempted, you know? Um and so for a long time I didn't play all that much. And then
Did
at
you miss
some
it?
point I was a little bit. Here and there, but it was also because I because of that sort of unhealthy relationship I had to it. It's, I don't know, it's a bit weird, because I, like, it's not like gaming is a drug, right? But
It's
you
addicting.
can,
Oh yeah.
it can be addicting, you know?
Mm.
And I think it was also like, sort of, if it's an escape from maybe a life that you're not always that happy about, then that's not that healthy, you know?
Mm.
Um, and I think in more recent years, it's not like that. I can actually just play because, you know what? I just want to play a bit of gaming, rather than being like, I don't like my life, so let me just escape it, you know? Um, like, look, the ladder, sometimes if it can help people, but if it means you're not dealing with your life problems, then that's dangerous, I think, you know?
Mm.
And I'm not I'm not doing that anymore, I think. And so I think I can game, and it's just fun, and I think that's better. And I mean, I only bought a gaming laptop, a Windows laptop, for the first time in, I don't know, since when? Like, since 20 years almost, or something. A few months ago. So until then I only had a Mac. I could only play what was available on my Mac, which is not recent games, you know, which is old games. Um, and I mean, the Windows laptop I have now is also not like top of the line. I bought it used. It's what it has to have, an RTX 2060.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not, I think it'll be just about good enough to play Wukong on like a lower spec, not on on the highest thing. But I think, I mean, I did the benchmark thing and it seems fine to me. Um but again, because Baldur's Gate 1 to me was amazing graphics. I'm like, look, I can play Wukong with everything dialed to nothing, and I'll still be impressed, you know? Like, and people will be like, what? Like, oh, but it looks so crap. And it's like, to me, this looks amazing, you know? You know,
uh,
it's I don't know. So I like recent games. What are other recent games I
like,
played?
are you familiar with games like The Last of Us and God of War and that
I've
sort of stuff?
played like, I haven't played The Last of Us. I think I played God of War maybe like one or something like that, or like I had it on, I think I had it on my
PS2.
PS2 maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did play that. So I get kind of when people, I understand my housemate also, he plays Dark Souls, and he's played like what is it, the P, is it like
Lies of P.
Lies of P or
Yeah.
something? And
Yeah.
so he likes like these kind of games. So I've seen him do that. So I get when people say like, oh, Wukong is like in between God of War and Dark Souls or something. It's not quite as Souls-like, but it's not like, so it's a bit harder maybe than God of War, or a bit more, let's say, boss heavy or something. That's the impression I get, you know, like, so
Yeah,
I
so you're
understand that a
speaking the
little
lingo.
bit.
This is what I'm saying. You're
I speak
speaking
the
the
lingo. I
lingo. Come
know, I
on.
know, I know.
Come on.
But yeah, but I was a PC gamer, so like mouse, keyboard, that was my vibe, you know, and like I also played a lot of first person shooters, you know, Half-Life, Counter-Strike, Quake. I played Quake 3 Arena online.
Damn, man.
Unreal,
Damn,
Unreal,
man.
when that, like, you know, you talk about like Unreal, was it like Unreal 5 engine? I remember when Unreal came out, and that was like, whoa. You know, like Unreal that they then used as an engine for everything. Yeah, so I'm old school, old school.
Is this back when you had the long hair?
Oh, um, no, even before that, I guess. Or when did I have? Yeah, I had very long hair down to here. Down to that was. I mean, I had my long hair in my mid-20s, I think. So then I moved to London, went to drama school, and I had long hair there. But I no, even before that, because yeah, I mean, I'm 39 now, so 20 years ago I started uni, and so that would have been, what are we now, 2004 or something. Yeah, so I mostly played before that, I think, like before 2005 4 or something, you know. That's kind of like, that was like my big gaming period. And yeah,
But
not that familiar with the recent stuff.
tonight we're back on. What time?
Back on, give it a go. I'll give it a go. 8 till 10 p.m. UK time. We're gonna give Wukong a go, Mia and I. So
All
yeah,
right.
very
I'll link
excited
it in
about it.
the description, man.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Do you have anything you want to say to the fans that have tuned in today, Mark?
Um, say to the fans, what do I say? I mean, like, I appreciate like kind of all the positive responses, you know. I've not been massively active with everything, like just tweeted here and there and whatever, but I've, you know,
All right, that
checked
site's
out,
garbage, so
you
it's
know,
all good, man.
exactly, exactly. And like, but just sort of, you know, I'm glad, because there was a little bit of fear. I know Wukong is a beloved character, you know, and from, especially in the, you know, Chinese diaspora and in the world, and not all over, but a lot of people, of course. And you know, there was just, I know, because I obviously I worked with Beth, the director here, but also with the you know, Chinese with game science. They had somebody on the line to listen in, make sure it's all on track and what they want. But there was a slight fear. It's like, oh my God, what if people hate it, you know, and like hate my interpretation or whatever, you know? And obviously there's always going to be some people who don't like it, but I think the response has been overwhelmingly positive, and I'm very, you know, grateful for that and happy about it. Yeah, like, thanks, and for that, um and let's see what the future brings, you know? So
Trust me, if
yeah.
it's not good, you'll probably hear about it.
I, I
You
I
know what I
would hear
mean?
about it. People, you do hear about it
Uh,
if people hate it, like, you know, and if, you
uh,
know, if some people here and there don't like it, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, I look forward to playing it. You know, on Mia's stream, and you know, if people want to see more, you know, I'm gonna do my own stream. Like, I've set up a Twitch, and let's see what happens with that, you know. But yeah, like, I'll just have to set up what I do here. Maybe, yeah, I
well,
don't know,
what you do,
but
you play through the game and get ready for the DLC, and then you can be the
I.
first to stream it.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the plan. But yeah, I mean, it's been great chatting with you. Appreciate you getting me on here, you know, and yeah, it's been my pleasure.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the time today.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, can um can Sun Wukong say something to Dan? Is that possible to round this one out?
What would you like to hear from Wukong? Is there anything in particular that you want to hear, that you've always wanted?
um,
It's like,
I don't know. I don't know. I'll let you
let's
do it.
see.
I just want to hear
Something okay.
my name in the
Just
voice as well, selfishly.
I
You know?
have to get into it.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, take your time.
You
Take your
know,
time,
just
please.
imagining all the gods, and then I know we've been spending 2 hours together now, and finally it's come to an end. But I hope it will not be the last of it. We'll see each other again soon, whether tomorrow, in the next life, or in the afterlife. You are a good guy.
Man, the physicality you bring when you do that voice, you
Oh,
kind
you
of,
gotta, you gotta.
yeah, man, that's awesome. I love
It
that.
is. It isn't an easy. It isn't. I think like I spoke to actually Jack S. Ran into him
Oh, nice.
at BAFTA the other day, and he was also saying his Zhu Bajier, right? Like because the voice, like doing that kind of voice is hard, and but you got to find one that you can sustain, you know, so it is physical, but you got to as a voice actor find one that you can still do for an extended period of time, you know. But
But
it is a physical job. It is.
but I much prefer that than, you just saying the lines, still face. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, yeah.
bring the passion to
Come at me, all of you.
it.
I will get you. I will fight you.
And we can follow you on Instagram, Twitter. Is that it?
Sure. And Twitch.
And
Go on
Twitch.
my Twitch.
And
It's
Twitch.
all the same. It's all Mark Takeshi Ota. Mark Takeshi Ota and yeah, like let's have some fun on the streams or whichever, or let's see what happens.
Beautiful. Thanks for your time, man. I
Cool.
really appreciate it.
Happy to. Been my pleasure, Dan.